can you dot, then spray for fun that stays?
Aqua Dots!
Welcome to Watch Mojo. And today we're counting down our picks for toys that were taken off the market due to health and safety risks to the kids they were marketed to.
I love to feed my Cabbage Patch Snacktime Kid. Cabbage Patch Kid Snacktime Kid.
Number 30, Fidget Spinners.
And I posted on our social media, they're here. And then I had to turn around a few hours later and say, they're gone.
A toy that gives you something to do when there's nothing to do is the name of the game, right? Well, kids, just because you're bored during class doesn't mean you should be doing something other than paying attention. Fidget spinners, due to their small, transportable, and addictive nature, became a distraction as the handheld gadgets soared in popularity in 2017. So much so that many schools banned them from classrooms. What had been originally considered a tool to help kids concentrate became a potential inhibitor to academic progress. The fidget spinner story also teaches us a lesson. Boredom is okay sometimes, and you don't always have to be doing something.
Now, in large numbers, kids who don't have ADHD have noticed the objects their friends were using and decided they want to start spinning too.
Number 29, Barbie and Tanner. The world of the iconic Barbie faced a bit of an issue in 2007 with the Barbie and Tanner toy sets. These sets were based on life as a dog owner, which of course meant that they had to include a pooper scooper. Unfortunately, a small magnet inside that pooper scooper posed a threat for young children. It could come off and be swallowed or aspirated. Yeah, not good. It was certainly not a fantastic situation, and this crap needed to be dealt with. The solution was to get these sets off the market.
So cute. Excuse us. You potty trained Tanner, Barbie. Barbie girl.
Number 28, Flubber.
I'm not sure what we've got here, Charlie. But if we've got what I think we've got something.
An object that's gooey plus stretchy plus bouncy equals fun, right? That seems to be a plausible equation, one that came into play with the release of Flubber during the 1960s. The flexible kids toy was inspired by the movie The Absent-Minded Professor and produced by the Hassenfeld brothers, known as Hasbro. They teamed up with Disney for a promotion ahead of the film's sequel, Son of Flubber. But it didn't take long for the Flubber product to have issues. Reports and complaints about sore throats and rashes forced the chemical concoction toys to be taken off the shelves. Did you really think you could rival Silly Putty? Silly goose.
Let's try and describe you. You're an elastomer. Yes, you're highly viscous, but yet you can phase shift.
Number 27, Polly Pocket Playsets.
I'm Polly Pocket. Want to see what's new? Really fun compacts just for you.
Multiple editions of Mattel's Polly Pocket playsets in the mid-2000s had magnet issues. There were hundreds of reports of magnets coming loose from the figurines and accessories in the set. And worse, there were a few reports of children who suffered serious choking injuries that required surgery. It wasn't all fun and games anymore. The danger of multiple magnets becoming attached to each other after being swallowed was no joke. It meant potentially fatal consequences, and that the few million Polly Pocket playsets with the magnet issue had to be recalled.
Now there's lots more ways to have a Polly day. Each will separately.
Number 26, My Friend Kayla.
Kayla knows millions of things.
How about a new hairstyle?
How about a ponytail?
They're watching us. They can hear us. These sentiments about surveillance and privacy concerns have circulated with the advancement of technology. How much of our computer and cell phone habits are actually private has become a legitimate question, and there's more to it than that. If you ask the German government about the doll known as My Friend Kayla, they would tell kids Kayla isn't who they thought she was. The kid's companion with communicative and voice recognition capabilities was deemed an espionage device, and they were banned in Germany as a result. That's right, kids. Your secret might not be safe with Kayla after all. This is all kinds of, well, creepy.
Kayla's so smart and so cute.
I hear that a lot.
Number 25, Kinder Surprise.
Two Seattle men found out the hard way the candy they bought in Canada is illegal here in the United States.
A chocolate egg with a toy inside. Sounds like a kid's dream, right? There's an issue, though. The Kinder Surprise, made by the Italian company Ferrero, goes against a U.S. law that prohibits the sale of candy that contains an inedible toy inside. As a result, they were banned from being imported into the U.S. The argument behind this ban is choking and aspiration hazards, particularly if a young child isn't aware that a toy is inside the chocolate egg. It could be dangerous. We get the idea of the surprise toy within a piece of chocolate, but let's be real. Many kids will be happy with just a piece of chocolate by itself, and with just a toy by itself. They don't need the 2-in-1 combo.
He said, "Are you aware that Kinder eggs are illegal in the United States and carry a $2,500 fine per egg?" And I actually laughed.
Number 24, Splash Off Water Rockets. This has risky kids science experiment written all over it. Kids, make sure you're wearing your safety goggles, or better yet, for the Splash Off Water Rockets, don't use them at all. These things were ready for liftoff in the toy market in 1997, but the water pressure caused by filling a splash-off water rocket led to danger of it breaking apart into pieces. 37 reports of hand, shoulder, and forehead injuries were the result, as was the product's ultimate crash landing in the toy market. Safety goggles weren't even enough, actually. You might need full-body armor to be truly safe from splash-off water rockets. Number 23. Super Bang Blast Balls.
You know what I got? I got some noisemakers. Check this out. Wanna try one?
Have you ever had a toy that you loved because of its sound? The lure of the Super Bang Blast Balls was just that, sound. They were built to sound similar to a cap gun, and the instructions to create that cracking sound is simple. Strike one blast ball against the other with your hands. But just think about the name again. Don't Super Bang Blast Balls just sound dangerous? The contact of these balls of fury can cause sparks to ignite. They could, and did, cause minor burns to hands and fingers. So sorry to the kids who were having a blast with the Super Bang Blast Balls, but it was time to let them go.
Then we finally get a reaction taking place.
Number 22, Slap Bracelets.
I am not 10 years old anymore. I don't like roller skating or unicorns or slap bracelets.
Don't you take off the slap bracelet. That represents friendship.
If the word slap is in the name, take it for what it's called. Slap bracelets were meant to slap around the wrist and add an extra layer to a kid's style. During the early 1990s, they were a fashion trend for students. They came in different colors and patterns, but if slapped on aggressively and out of nowhere, it could kind of hurt. Cheap and worn-out versions especially posed injury risks. Once injured wrist reports started piling up, numerous schools banned slap bracelets, helping bring the fad to a halt.
Nearly 80,000 bracelets for kids are being recalled.
Number 21, Thingmaker.
Now, you can make all kinds of lovely things like these with Mattel's wonderful Thingmaker.
Also known as creepy crawlers, this toy allowed kids to create multiple little critters made out of a liquid chemical substance. The problem with the Thingmaker, though, was the heat of the molds. A kid's toy with temperatures reaching close to 400 degrees Fahrenheit didn't sit well with the United States Consumer Product Safety Commission, so the Thingmaker was discontinued in 1973, about 9 years after its release. It did make a comeback, though, with a second iteration that was safer. However, as the story goes, the sequel didn't have the same success.
Build a monster mold with the colored plastic goop and make a creepy crawler from a yucky monster soup.
Number 20, Toothpick Crossbows.
Is that a crossbow? Ah! Oh, it is a crossbow!
In the mid-2010s, a toothpick crossbow craze was sweeping Chinese schools.
Selling online and in shops for as little as 7 yuan, these so-called toothpick crossbows were originally designed to shoot out just that. Toothpicks.
As their name suggests, these were mini crossbows that were meant to shoot toothpicks at various objects, usually friends. But as you can imagine, shooting sharp pieces of wood into your friends' faces can be quite dangerous. Not only that, but there were alleged reports of children using the crossbow to fire the likes of nails and needles.
These toothpick crossbows have become a new favorite among Chinese children, but it seems some have already been exposed to the potential dangers.
Parents raised concerns, and the law swiftly answered by banning the sale of toothpick crossbows across the country. Many major retailers were ordered to take the toy off their shelves, and raids were carried out by law enforcement to ensure that retailers were complying with the ban. Number 19. Rollerblade Barbie.
I skate, you skate, we both got clothes that look great.
We don't know what Mattel was thinking with Rollerblade Barbie. This doll was obviously meant to rollerblade around the room, and to do so, the manufacturer equipped her feet with rolling contraptions that acted like cigarette lighters. They were even designed to kick up sparks.
All right, this is Rocket Skates, take 2.
Of course, there were reports of injuries. In Jackson, Mississippi, a young girl accidentally set her brother on fire after playing with a combination of hairspray and Rollerblade Barbie. Luckily, the child wasn't seriously injured. Mattel realized that they had a serious problem and potential lawsuit on their hands, so they quickly ceased production on Rollerblade Barbie. That was probably a good idea. Number 18. Mini hammocks.
You know who invented the hammock, Homer?
No.
That's something for you to do. Find that out.
Manufacturers realized that hammocks weren't really made for children, yet children love to hang in them. So they had the idea to make mini hammocks suited exclusively for tiny bodies. There was just one problem, and we mean one major problem. Hammocks contain what are called spreader bars, and these bars keep hammocks from folding in on themselves. These mini hammocks did not have spreader bars, so they were prone to entangling and strangling children. Unfortunately, many children and teenagers died in tragic hammock-related accidents, and one child reportedly suffered brain damage. These specific mini hammocks were eventually recalled, with more than 3 million being taken off the country's shelves. Number 17. Hannah Montana Pop Star Card Game. Hannah Montana was all the rage in the mid-2000s, having debuted in March of 2006.
Don't look at my booty.
No danger of that, partner.
All sorts of merchandise was made up to capitalize on its success, including a playing card game. Sounds innocent, except that the cards contained a dangerously high amount of lead.
Lead-based toys! Lead-based toys!
In 2007, thousands of children's toys were tested for lead, specifically lead paint.
Kathy Jenkins owns toys in the attic. After hearing recent reports of lead found in toys from China, she decided to offer free lead testing to anyone who wanted to bring their toys by.
The American Academy of Pediatrics recommends no more than 40 parts per million, and 600 parts per million is the federally mandated level for a mandatory recall. It was found that the Hannah Montana cards contain levels of 3,056 parts per million, about 5 times higher than the recall limit. Suffice to say, you can no longer find these cards anywhere. Number 16. Slingshots. While not exclusively made for children, slingshots have long been used by them. For some, it's an introductory weapon.
Hey, Sonny, come here!
What is it? What's the matter? Huh? Let me have that.
For others, it's a relatively harmless toy used to shoot chestnuts at soda cans or whatever. Of course, there is a huge risk factor inherent with slingshots. As a result, arm-braced slingshots are banned in many jurisdictions. For example, the state of New York has banned slingshots under criminal possession of a weapon in the 4th degree. Also grouped with slingshots are the likes of electric dart guns, switchblade knives, and brass knuckles. Possession of arm-braced slingshots is a Class A misdemeanor and can land the owner in prison for a year. Number 15. Fisher-Price Power Wheels.
Come on, let's go! Sitting tall in my Power Wheel, star of the show!
In the late 90s, Fisher-Price manufactured various models of ride-on cars and trucks for children. They were called Power Wheels, and they allowed little ones to get a taste of the road long before they could obtain a driver's license. However, these Power Wheels cars were horribly designed, to say the least. Some of them failed to stop, causing children to plow into walls and get hurt.
44,000 hot pink Barbie Dream campers are recalled. This after 17 reports of the battery-powered wheels continuing to run even after the foot pedal was released.
But even worse were the faulty electrical components. There were hundreds of reports of these toy cars overheating and catching fire, and they caused upwards of $300,000 in property damage. Power Wheels were eventually recalled. And just a few years later, Fisher-Price faced a $1.1 million fine from the Consumer Product Safety Commission. Number 14. Aqua Leisure Baby Floats. Pool flotation devices are certainly nothing new.
I would say that I'm just drifting here in the pool.
Why?
Well, it's very comfortable just to drift here.
Unfortunately, young children in open water don't often make for the safest combination. In the late 2000s, manufacturer Aqua Leisure issued a voluntary recall over their defective baby floats.
Swim school baby boats consider every detail for safe water play. Ensuring your baby is comfortable is foremost.
The seats were prone to tearing, causing babies and young children to fall through the flotation device and into the water. More than 30 such incidents were officially reported, but thankfully, no one was seriously injured or killed. Aqua Leisure eventually notified the Consumer Product Safety Commission, but at that point, more than 20 reports had already been issued. As a result, the CPSC slapped the company with a civil penalty of $650,000. Number 13. Hoverboards.
The future of movement. A hoverboard.
I don't understand those things. Is walking really so hard for you?
These self-balancing scooters were all the rage in the mid-2010s. Unfortunately, also generated quite a degree of controversy, not only for being fake hoverboards, but because they were incredibly dangerous. Not only were inexperienced users falling off and hurting themselves, but the batteries were notoriously awful and prone to bursting into flames. These scooters were blamed for dozens of residential fires and deaths, and as a result, they have been banned in numerous places across the world.
The MTA is banning hoverboards because they say the lithium-ion batteries pose a potential fire risk.
Many public spaces have prohibited the use of hoverboards, and places like New York City, the Netherlands, and Hong Kong have banned their use outright. Various imports have also been banned by the U.S. International Trade Commission for infringing on copyright laws. Number 12. CSI Fingerprint Kit. This is one particularly tragic case that can have enormous repercussions in a couple of decades. In the mid-2000s, a specific CSI toolkit allowed children to dust for fingerprints. Unfortunately, the powder that was used in the test kit contained a very dangerous type of asbestos called tremolite. In fact, it's believed that even a one-time exposure to this type of asbestos can cause lung cancer later in life.
The toxicant was found in 6 of 8 samples tested by the Asbestos Disease Awareness Organization during a 5-month examination.
The Department of Consumer Protection ordered the manufacturer to recall the product, but who knows how many children had already been affected. Manufacturer Planet Toys Incorporated eventually went bankrupt, and a class action lawsuit was launched seeking damages. Number 11. Gilbert Glass Blowing Set. It doesn't take a genius to work out that children and glass blowing do not mix.
The pants are on fire! The underwear's on fire! I'm on fire!
Why anyone thought this would be a good idea is beyond us. Glass blowing is an incredibly dangerous trade, requiring the maker to work with literal molten glass, as in glass that appears bright orange because it's 2,000 degrees.
Morning, glass blowers. Is everyone ready to play with fire?
Yeah.
This is dangerous for the pros, never mind children who have no idea what they're doing. This Gilbert glass blowing set encouraged children to try the practice for themselves. We don't even want to think about the consequences. Unsurprisingly, this toy was eventually pulled and is now regarded as nothing more than an insane experiment. Number 10. Sky Dancers. Who would have thought something so cute would get yanked off the shelf? Released in 1994, these skinny plastic dolls came with foam wings and a little base to set her in. When you pulled the string on the back, the wings would spin like a helicopter and the doll would fly into the air.
Wow, she's flying!
dancers fly, fly just for you. Pretty sky dancers fly for me too.
You make her dance and fly.
Incredibly popular at the time, the toys were given a recall due to the unpredictable nature of how they flew.
Careful, kid. He might poke your eye out.
Repeated eye injuries, broken teeth, blindness, and even severe cuts were all caused by the out-of-control spinning dolls. Number 9. Atomic Lab Kits. Sold in the 1950s, the Gilbert U-238 Atomic Energy Lab gave kids the radioactive material needed to unleash nuclear and chemical reactions. From the lens of a 21st century parent, you'd question how anyone ever thought this was a good idea.
My name is Sheldon Cooper, and I'm trying to build a nuclear reactor, and I could use his help.
Included in the sets were compounds that emitted beta and gamma rays, both of which are radioactive. It was pitched as being completely safe as long as you followed the instructions carefully, which we all know kids do so well.
Vent radioactive gas, NO.
Thankfully, the $50 price tag was far too high to make it attractive in those days, forcing it off store shelves before it even sold 5,000 kits. Number 8. Clackers. For the 1960s, the concept was fairly simple. Take 2 balls and attach them to a string, and children can swing them around. When they collide, they make a big clacking sound, which the kids will adore.
Unbreakable miracle clackers are for everyone, even the little guys.
It was all fine and dandy until the balls started exploding. With enough force applied, the collision would cause the balls to shatter, sending shards of glass or plastic in any direction.
The new original miracle clackers won't shatter, even if you use both hands.
Reports of facial and other injuries caused the toy to be pulled from the market before resurfacing again in the 1990s. More modern materials prevented the exploding balls from hurting anyone further. Number 7. Bucky balls. You can market it to older kids all you want.
The magnets can adhere to each other, and then it can cause intestinal injury or damage.
That's not going to stop the younger ones from playing with them. Bucky balls were a set of small, powerful magnets that would stick together to form various shapes. Each magnet was about 5 millimeters wide, just small enough for a young kid to swallow.
The company and CPSC have been warning for a long time. This is a product not intended for kids, yet the incidents still happen.
Countless reports of children ingesting the magnets caused a recall on the toy in 2012. Forcing the company to issue $375,000 worth of refunds.
This x-ray shows a ring of 18 Bucky balls lodged in his stomach.
That didn't, however, stop Bucky Balls founder Craig Zucker from trying again. Specs are essentially the same toy with a new name and logo. Number 6. Yo-Yo Water Balls. Have you ever played with a paddle ball? You know, that rubber ball attached to a string with a paddle?
This friggin' thing is warped!
Now imagine your hand is the paddle, the string is a bungee cord, and the ball contains a nondescript fluid. That's the concept behind the yo-yo ball. It sounded innocent enough, but many issues have arisen from it. There was, of course, the potential choking hazard it posed if the cord was wrapped around you in the wrong way. The material it was made of was also highly flammable. If pulled too far, the snapback could be quite painful. And the liquid in the ball was toxic. Everything about this bouncing ball said it needed to come off shelves.
I'll bounce back. I always bounce back.
Number 5. Kite tubes. When you're done watching this video, search YouTube for Kite Tube Fail, and you'll see exactly why this kind of toy has no business on store shelves. It's essentially a modified inner tube designed to catch air while being dragged behind a boat. Once airborne, neither the boat driver or the passengers had any control over how the tube would react to the air current.
Hello? Mrs. Pommelhorst? I'd like to get down now.
In many cases, it would flip or turn suddenly, forcefully ejecting its passengers into the air. Broken bones, punctured lungs, and damaged eardrums are all injuries sustained as a result of the violent crash back into the water.
Elvis has left the building!
The Kite was quickly recalled and flying boat tubes were made illegal. Number 4. Snacktime Cabbage Patch Kid. No one would ever argue that Cabbage Patch Kids were a huge wave in the toy industry, but not every new doll was a success.
My Cabbage Patch Snacktime kid, she really
Released in 1996, the Snacktime Kid was intended to allow children to feed their doll any number of plastic treats. Innocent at first, kids quickly discovered the mouth wouldn't stop until whatever it ate was fully immersed in their little friend. Combine that with an overpowered motor, kids were getting their fingers and hair stuck in the dolls, with no way to stop them from eating.
After I got the battery, I had to see if I could, push a button or something, a lever, and pull the hair back through. But as the hair went in, it intertwined into the gear, and then we couldn't get it out.
By 1997, Mattel gave up on the hungry hippo-like doll and offered refunds to parents who had purchased the product.
If you pulled on the doll, it only grabbed more, and it was pulling her hair away from her scalp.
Number 3. Austin Magic Pistol. Say what you want about toy guns, but they have been a staple of the toy industry for as long as guns have been around. But for a brief time in the late 1940s, this magic pistol was no ordinary play firearm. Using a combination of calcium carbide and water, the gun would propel ping-pong-sized balls from the barrel for distances well over 70 feet.
Oh, that was a good one.
The biggest problem with this toy was the fact that it gave children access to a literal explosive compound that could go off with as little as a couple of drops of sweat. Combine that with the splash of sparks that often erupted from the weapon, everything about this toy spelled dangerous. Number 2. Aqua Dots. Similar in some ways to today's perler beads, Aqua Dots, also known as bindies, are small beads that can be used to create creative designs on small pegboards.
Aqua Dots!
The magical dots you create, spray, and play.
Like other swallow hazard toys, younger children would accidentally ingest the beads. That wasn't, however, what triggered the ban and subsequent massive recall.
The complete Super Studio playset includes the pop and load pen, the speed dryer, the aqua sprayer.
The beads were made of butane diol, which when ingested converts to a sedative known as GHB, or gamma-hydroxybutyric acid. Incidents of children swallowing and suffering adverse effects were widely reported.
He just started weaving kind of like he was drunk or something, and he fell down.
Concerns were also addressed about the beads being used as a recreational drug. The ingredients were eventually replaced with safer ones, allowing the toy to be brought back to store shelves. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Lawn darts.
It was on April 5th, 1987, the David Snow's world fell apart.
And you thought getting hit with a regular dart was bad. Lawn darts were a staple of outdoor games for many years. Shaped like their smaller counterpart, the metal pointed ends were quite heavy. Propelled by hand into the air in an arch to hit a circle target, the darts would have been harmless if they had only hit the grass.
By afternoon, she was in a coma.
Thousands of injuries from lacerations, concussions, and even death were reportedly tied to the unsafe usage of this outdoor field game.
When they're dropped from 15 feet, when they hit, this is 23,000 pounds per square inch.
They were banned in the US in 1988 and then in Canada in 1989. Less dangerous substitutes have since been released, all with no metal tips. What kid's toy brings back the most memories for you? Let us know in the comments.
I'm Polly Pocket. Want to see what's new?
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.